removing yourself from it a little bit has always worked for me. You know, nature works very, very well.
Yeah.
You know, animals, contact with animals, people you love.
Sure.
Less digital experiences, fewer digital experiences for sure. I think that this stuff's not good for you. It's just so obviously not good for you.
I was having this conversation with Michelle Dowd yesterday. She is a woman who survived an apocalyptic cult. She was raised in an apocalyptic cult and kicked out when she was 17 because she snuck out to go see The Color Purple. They weren't allowed to go see movies. She'd never seen a movie until she was 17.
She'd never seen a movie, and her first movie was The Color Purple.
And then they kicked her out.
I can kind of see
get
that.
out
I
of
mean,
cult.
what about Raiders of the Lost Ark or something? The Color Purple?
was the first movie she'd ever seen.
No, but like,
A boy.
see one movie that's The Color Purple?
Well, a boy invited her to the movie.
Come on!
But could you imagine never seeing a movie or even a television show
Can't
your whole
imagine
life and then seeing
dating
The Color
a boy
Purple?
who wanted to see The Color Purple. Like,
Well,
there's so much going on here, Joe.
Well, this boy was a guy who had left the church, and so she was in contact with him, and and he was saying, "Hey, there's a whole world out here. You want to go see the movie?" And she's like, "Okay, let's go."
Yeah, I mean, obviously, look, I'm totally against cults, obviously. On the other hand, you got to ask yourself, like, I don't know, is your average Amish teenager happier than your average conventional American teenager on Instagram? And of course, the answer is, oh, yeah.
Well, they certainly have less instances of autism, which is really fascinating. It's very, very
The
fascinating.
Amish have
yeah.
less autism?
Yeah, there's almost none.
Well, I'm not surprised.
It's extremely
Why
rare.
do we think that is?
Well, I'm wonder. I really do.
I can think of a couple.
Yeah.
It's funny. I don't want to go Bobby Kennedy.
Well,
on
that's
anyone.
the problem.
Right.
If you go Bobby Kennedy, they'll come for you.
But
the
why?
question is
But
why?
Look, and I don't know the answer, but
How is that not in the debate? How is that not in the conversation?
well, it's not only not in the conversation, you're punished for adding it to the
Punished,
conversation.
yes.
And so, like,
We are dancing around anti-vax conspiracy theories
but
right now.
why be on the defensive? It's like
Right.
if you purport to represent science and you're mad about a question,
And you're ignoring data.
yeah, but even in the absence of data,
Right.
science is a process.
Yes.
It's not a result. It's a way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
And at the core of science is asking questions, including unlikely questions.
Right.
That's what science is.
Right.
And if you don't allow that, then you may be doing something, but what you're not doing is science. We can say that conclusively. So
Right.
for people to wrap themselves in the mantle of science and attack you for asking a question, they're frauds. And I don't know how they have the moral high ground in this.
I don't think they do, but I think it's the same kind of mindset that allows people to create the nuclear bomb. Because you say, listen, we're not even saying that vaccines cause autism, but let's say this. If you're looking at all the data of all the things that cause autism and you see that the vaccine schedule ramps up considerably and then you have autism, which seems to at least be more diagnosed than ever before, people will instantly say, we stopped polio, we stopped smallpox, vaccines have saved millions of lives, and they're probably right. We dropped that bomb to keep Germany from dropping that bomb. We need nuclear weapons so that other people don't have nuclear weapons. We do a thing that maybe has some negative effects but is overall good. And I think you can kind of apply that sort of logic and reasoning as a human being to very messy issues.
Well,
I think people
and we
do
all
that.
do, by the way.
People do that with abortion, right?
Sure.
They do that with abortion.
They do
say
with everything.
A woman
I mean-
has a right to choose reproductive freedom. They say all these things. And then you say, okay, what if the baby is near term? What if it's 6 months old? What if it's 7 months old? And people don't want to have that conversation.
Why?
A woman has the right to choose. You're a fascist. Stay out of women's
Does
bodies.
a woman have a right to kill you if you annoy her or inconvenience her?
Well, this is
Like,
where
what
it
are you
gets weird. It's
saying?
like, when is it a life? But it is one of those things that, to me, is a human problem.
Yeah.
Whereas humans have these very messy interactions with some things that don't line up with their ideology. And there's an ideology of science worship. There's an ideology of authoritarian worship. The bodies of science have bestowed the truth. If you ignore it, you're a science denier. And,
those are political terms or theological terms. They're not terms rooted in science. And look, we all make trade-offs constantly. Everything's bad. It's a shit sandwich versus a shit croissant. I'll take the shit croissant. It's smaller. That's a daily experience for everybody. So I get that. And I don't think everything is a moral absolute either. We don't even know sometimes whether a decision will result in good or bad. So it's very complicated. I totally agree with that. What I object to is the absence of reason.
Right.
You have to believe, because I think it's true, that if you're reasonable, that you can reach maybe not the perfect decision, but a better decision. And if we don't believe that, then we're just in the land of witchcraft, and let's just admit it. So the lack of reason is what freaks me out.
Well, it's ideological capture, right? Because there's certain things that if you're on the right side of these subjects, the correct side, whatever your ideology believes, you can't differ from the doctrine. There's a very clear
that's
doctrine.
Just religion, then.
It is.
Yeah,
it is religion.
So I'm very pro-religion, but you can't have a religion that's too stupid and destructive. If your religion winds up hurting a lot of people, then I'm against your religion. That's right.
Yeah, I think, but even some really good religions have aspects of them that you could say were overall detrimental to the people that were
absolutely. You could
encountered
say
with them. Yeah, I think that kind of thinking. I think cult thinking, whether it's Scientology or whether it's Christianity, or there's a type of thinking, or whether it's woke. Woke is clearly a cult. It's a mind virus. And I think that cult, it's so trite